关键对话 ：AI 浪潮才刚兴起，对人类社会的影响正在加速显现。外资高盛就预测 ，AI 将会取代相当于3亿个全职工作机会。面对这样的趋势，该做哪一些准备呢？今天的关键对话邀请到畅销书作家、全球大数据权威麦尔荀伯格来分享他的洞察。
关键时刻掌握关键对话。大家好，我是志杰。今年的远见高峰会主题是迎向逆全球化的年代，特别邀请到国际大数据权威麦尔荀伯格先生来台湾演讲。麦尔荀伯格他是国际相当受欢迎的 AI 名师，在过去曾经是微软的科技顾问，而他有许多针对科技的预言，随着时间慢慢都成真了。我们今天要来请教他的是，在 AI 时代该如何自助自救，而且还要选对边。我们欢迎他。Hello, Dr.麦尔荀伯格. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Ginger, and hello, everybody in Taiwan that is listening and watching us.
For many workers, even Hollywood writers are worried about replaced by AI, and many companies has already integrated AI into their daily practices. For us, what is timeless? What kind of skill can prove resistance to obsolescence?
What we humans have and the machine doesn't have is the ability to see what isn't there. AI is really good telling us what's there. It is good in looking at data from the past and extracting good options, good decisions from the past. But what if the present, what if the future is different from the past? Then AI cannot help us. Then we need to use a different superpower, a superpower every human being possesses. It's our ability to dream with a purpose.
But to dream, it sounds to me, is not like an ability. You know, I want a skill and ability which can make sure that I can survive, I can secure my job. Is there such a thing?
Oh, dreaming is a skill. It needs to be trained. It's very hard to do. Because the dreaming that I mean is not the crazy sky, the pie in the sky dreaming. The dreaming that I mean is a dreaming with purpose. I have a goal in mind. I know what my constraints are, my limitations are, and then I need to find the best possible decision, the best possible option on how to decide. That's the kind of dreaming that I'm thinking of.
I have a report that's from Goldman Sachs. It predicts AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million jobs. That's terrifying. At this point of time, what kind of job is okay, is safe for us to choose, and what kind of job that we better avoid?
Well, the jobs that are very repetitive, that are very predictable, are the jobs that will be able for AI to take on, because that's something that AI is good at. You know, much like the steam engine was good for lifting heavy loads, much like the computer was good for calculating mathematical problems, AI is good for predicting what we already know. But when the answer isn't obvious, then we need human beings. And that means in any job where the answer isn't obvious, where you have to think hard as the world changes, reality change, those are positions that are fairly safe. Clerks in large offices, insurance companies, banks who go through loan applications, that may go away. But then many new jobs open up as we age as a society, as we want social interactions. That's something that we humans can only provide.
And I think AI is a two-faced sword. We need to leverage it. So I want to know how ChatGPT can enhance our decision-making processes.
We need to ask the question and look at the multiplicity of answers. So I should not ask ChatGPT, should I go to war or should I keep peace? But I should ask ChatGPT, what other options are available aside from war and peace? Or when I run a company, I should say, not tell me should I have a new product or not, but what other options do I have to raise sales and increase revenues than to develop a new product? Are there other options? And then ChatGPT will give me a whole menu of options that I might not have thought of. We can also anticipate when we do negotiations what the other side would do. We can ask ChatGPT, suppose you are in a negotiation and one side suggests this, what would the other side then suggest? I can use ChatGPT to help me understand my negotiation partner, my opponent in a negotiation better. And so I can ask ChatGPT to take on roles, different roles.
Is it possible that sometimes it might be wrong? How can we correct the answer and how to avoid being misled?
Of course, ChatGPT is wrong oftentimes. By the way, I am wrong oftentimes too. So it should only be an inspiration, a starting point for us. It still requires human oversight, human critical analysis and critical thinking. We are the ones who need to review what ChatGPT is suggesting to us, and we need to be very critical about it. But we could even call on ChatGPT, give the answer back to ChatGPT and say, critically assess the answer that you just provided for me and give me some counter arguments to why your answer might be wrong. And it might be able to do that too. So it's a tool, it's a versatile tool, but it also requires, of course, good usage of it.
A few years ago, you noted that with big data rises, traditional banks might face imminent threats. And over the years, do they win the battle so far? Because I think most banks are still okay.
When they saw the threat of fintechs and of startups, they thought, oh, we need to change. And many large banks have begun to change. But also many large banks have begun to change for the worse. So I remember 20 years ago, I could go to my bank branch office and still meet a human being. Today, I am lost in an enormous menu of telephone tag, and I spend an hour just trying to get a human being to give me a simple answer. That is not personal banking anymore. And therefore, banking has become worse in terms of customer service than it used to be, because the banks have not been able to take on the digital model, but at the same time cutting costs on their conventional model. They face the threat of lower transaction costs by online banks. They face the threat of payment facilities being provided by IT companies. There is Apple Pay, there is Google Pay, in China there is Alipay, and then you have even Apple coming up with its own credit card, with its own savings account, with its own checking account, with its own credit and loan facilities. So that means that even in a highly, highly regulated niche like banking, new entrepreneurs and large platform companies are encroaching upon it, and they are not safe. Banking was only safe because the banks were very large and highly regulated, and so they were protected from the winds of competition, but that will not persist for long. They will have to change in the next couple of years, and if they don't change, they will not exist.
Oh, not exist.
Not exist. The conventional bank is a model that is ripe for retirement.
What is your view on the U.S. ban the supply of AI chip to China?
I feel that this is exactly the wrong policy choice, a fundamental policy mistake. Why? Because it is defensive. Any defensive move that you do reveals to the other side that you actually think that your hand is not very strong, that your negotiation hand is not very strong.
Thank you very much. 麦尔荀伯格认为 AI 即将取代的是答案很明显的工作，而他认为传统银行的数位创新都还没有成功，就急着抛弃实体服务是不对的。而他也认为美国禁止出口 AI 晶片到中国是错误的政策。以上资讯提供给您，关键对话，我们下次再见。